Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome to this week's episode of the Gaming News and Trailers. Got a little bit of news and a handful of trailers for you. One quick note, Microsoft, aka Xbox, had an event a few days ago, and I have that as a separate video on the channel for anybody who wants to check out a bunch of trailers from some of the stuff that they did. It was a pretty good, short little, like 30-minute event. But jumping to something else, our first news story of the day is Spider-Man 2 is out. It's very, very good. And there was a dev interview from somebody at Insomniac where they confirmed that their upcoming Wolverine game is also in the same universe as their 3 Spider-Man games. So that is very interesting that they're creating like their own little MCU kind of there at Insomniac. Of course, the Wolverine game is going to be very much rated R compared to the Spider-Man games, which are not. But yeah, just kind of interesting. Be interesting to see if the Wolverine game actually comes out next year or if it comes out in 2025. We'll have to see. But Insomniac is definitely one of those developers who they're probably in the top 5 right now. Like, they're putting out some incredible games. Like the last 5-ish games they've released have all been top-notch. So, yeah, interesting to see what they're going to do with a rated R Wolverine game. Speaking of a game that's not doing so well, Skull and Bones has essentially been delayed yet again for the 50th time. Actually, it says here their 6th delay. But technically, they haven't really had a release date in a while, so you can't really delay a game that doesn't have a release date. But either way, they keep pushing back the release window. But yeah, just bad times for Skull and Bones, a game that just seems like it can never quite get its footing down, which is crazy. Let's go ahead and jump into trailers. It's another week of launch trailers as games continue to come out. So this is going to be the launch trailer for Ghost Runner 2. Let's take a look.
Hello, Jack. We need you again.
I think I played the demo on the first one. If you like first-person hack and slash. I haven't really seen how well this is reviewing. It's on everything. Go take a look. All right, next up, we have the launch trailer for a game that is reviewing very, very, very well. That's Alan Wake 2.
The killer left the heart next to the body. This wasn't some random act of violence. This was a ritual. A page of text written with a typewriter. Someone's been watching us.
How do you run from an idea? From a story that lives in your head? I need to escape this nightmare.
Wake says the story will change reality around us. written into the story. I brought you the Heart Witch. Show me the terror.
Show me that.
FBI, drop the knife!
I've heard some really interesting things about this game. As in, like, just like incredibly, incredibly good. Like, a lot of people that I follow say this is potentially another game of the generation. Right up there with Baldur's Gate. Next up, we have got the launch trailer for Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria.
Misty mountains, Middle-earth, the fourth age of this world. Concerning dwarves. Dwarves have
I think that's the
delved
voice
under
of
the
Gimli.
mountains since the first
John
age.
Rhys Davis.
Mining, smithing, and carving our homes. It has been remarked by some that a dwarf's only real passion is for battle and treasure. A rather unfair, I'd say elven observation, as we also hold our food and ale dear.
All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost.
Our reputations as master artisans precede us. As does our combat prowess. But where our hearts truly lie is in one another's company. For all dwarves share deep bonds of fellowship. Now, in this new age, it is time we dwarves return to Moria.
I have heard that that game is a very okay, is the best way I could describe that. Like, you can play it on your own, it's fine. You can play it with people, it's fine. Obviously, it's better with people. Apparently, the, like, location of that game is, like, amazing, but then what you're actually doing in the game is just kind of like, yeah, it's okay kind of feeling. Okay, last trailer of the day. As you may or may not remember from last week's episode, I said we were starting a new Dev Diary series on Hellblade 2 this time. So this is episode 2. One of my most anticipated games.
At the heart of Hellblade is our ambition to sink you into Senua's world and story. To do this, it's critical that we make it as easy as possible for you to suspend your disbelief. One key method of achieving this is our use of performance capture.
This might be my most anticipated game next year.
What I want to achieve on stage is to get the best performance and best storytelling from the actors, and then to get that into the game as faithfully as possible. I want to see what I saw on stage in the game.
It's going to happen. It's time to find out. How can we make it happen?
When we were shooting the scene from the Xbox showcase, it was quite a somber mood on set, because that was one of our moments in the game where it's just Senua and the Furies. We have an opportunity to connect with the player one-on-one.
Where are you? What do they want?
At this point in Senua's journey, she's had her confidence eroded. There's a lot of doubt, and she needs to find within herself a spark of hope, that strength that she has, in order to continue on.
All the grief, all the rage, all the fear, everything I've seen, everything I've done.
While this scene is relatively simple, the scale and complexity of our
I wonder if this game is going to take the new title of best looking game ever made.
performance capture has multiplied to meet our creative ambitions on Hellblade 2.
We shot the first Hellblade in the boardroom of our old studio. It was very MacGyvered together. In the new studio, we have a custom-built mocap space, which has pretty much everything we could have dreamed of. We've got projectors, so we can recreate sets on the ground if we need to. We've got loads of props that we have available to us at any time, so we can build sets.
I remember coming into interview and seeing the setup down there and immediately being impressed by the clear commitment that had been made to underpinning great true-to-life performance with great quality data. So we've got a lot more cameras this time around. They're kind of top of the line at the moment. And in the kind of space that we have downstairs, we have nearly wall-to-wall coverage, which is really impressive. And it's not something that is common. It's certainly a step up from a few cameras set up in a boardroom.
All 42 of our Vicon cameras emit infrared light, and when they hit the markers on the performers, that's projected straight back at the camera. The tape is retro-reflective. And basically, as long as 3 or more cameras can see that marker, they can triangulate its position within the volume. So when we calibrate, we run around and define the space in which the performers can act for the day, and as long as they're within that space, the cameras will pick them up and track them through the volume. The projectors are really great because they cover almost the entire floor within this green boundary, which is our general safe volume. And what we can do is project either Unreal or Motion Builder down onto the floor to scale, which is really useful for things like scenes with the giants, where you need something bigger than the performers as a reference. They can see it move along the floor, or we can set the distance between our props and pieces of environment to make sure that that's accurate to the game world as well. The thing that's really cool about this room in particular is that it's really purpose-built for freedom. So it's very soundproofed. It's nearly a full soundstage. But these points here allow us to mount a piece of truss to the floor, and then we can get onto the truss on the ceiling, which can carry an insane amount of weight. So if we've got a point here and a point up on the ceiling, we can do almost any kind of rigging build. We can hang things from the ceiling. We can rig up wire poles, any kind of rope work that we might need. This is really useful if you've got big jumps or swimming, that kind of thing. You can get performers up off the floor and give them the freedom to move around the space unencumbered by the floor.
With our setup, we can push even further on our ambition of bringing through as much of our actors' performances as possible into the game, even down to the most nuanced of movements.
When you've got a optical system,
Like, I feel like this is cutting edge tech right now for game development. You don't, if you think about even like 10 years ago on how games were being made, and then now you look at this, like, this is like crazy. There's some really good like behind the scenes documentary stuff about how God of War was made, and that it's very similar to this, but I feel like this is like even better tech-wise.
Something like ours set up and calibrated well, you can track performers' movements down to the millimeter. So we can see somebody shuffling their finger along the table or just wiggling them very gently. You can see hesitation and breath. You know, there's no need to push the action and overact. You can just be your character.
I'm here now.
What we want is the best performance possible, the best immersion possible for the player, and that's why we go to these lengths, just to try and get that extra fidelity of performance into the game.
What do you want me to do?
As soon as we start getting the visual performance of our actors as well as their body data, that's when it becomes performance capture and not just motion. It really just gives a more cohesive and true-to-life performance, being able to have the body data that matches the visual performance. It's really all very in the moment and helps everything feel much more realistic and just a part of the whole production.
Alongside head-mounted and motion capture cameras, we're taking a filmic approach to our cinematics with a bespoke virtual camera setup.
We've got Bosch's camera in here. It gets timecode jam here, and we track this crown in relation to this offset marker here so that we can track the point of the lens, and that allows us to faithfully track the camera's lens and look throughout the scene.
With performance capture being at the heart of our character movement, our props and staging had to facilitate our vision.
I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there is going to be a boat in the game. That boat will have several characters on board. We wanted to be able to capture the motion of a boat across multiple characters simultaneously, and we, for the first time, had the space to be able to construct a proper rig for this. So we had a platform which could be moved.
It's really neat to see how they do that.
Any number of ways to create that kind of pitch and yaw and roll that you would get on the ocean. And we got our actors up onto this boat and captured scene with high waves and a storm, and we got incredible data from it. Really, really amazing.
Being able to do that in our own basement is really important for how quickly we want to iterate on that data and get it into engine and see what it looks like. You know, we can always come back and do things again, and we don't have to worry about scheduling or finding performers or anything like that you might need to worry about in a normal kind of third-party
There's
shoot.
your classic T-pose.
The most important part of my role is to make sure that story gets told. And having these wonderful actors we're working with bring their talents to bear on these characters has been such an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. That game is gonna be bonkers. All right, for those who are watching on YouTube, we'll wrap up the video right there. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.